This meeting is being recorded.
Season 2. Brought to you by S2E25 Productions. Come join my Evil Empire 3 p.m. Central Standard Time here live on Facebook. You can help me save the world or possibly destroy it. Join my Evil Empire here today. Don't forget to check me out on YouTube. It's the Jaw Show.
It is May 27th, 2022. Today, I want to talk to you about it's a difficult subject to talk about. Failure. We always think that failure is the end all be all of what happens to us in our lives. We define our lives by failure. If I fail, I'm not a success. If I fail, I haven't lived up to my expectations in my life. If I fail, I've let down my parents, I've let down my school, I've let down my friends, I've let down myself. And today's episode will be, I will not fail. Because failure is not a mistake. Failure is the only way we learn in this world. Without failing, without realizing that you made a mistake and that mistake, learned or not learned, can define a person's journey. You know, we hope and dream for the grandest of things to happen in our lives. We all have our own dreams and wishes. Yes, when we grow up, our parents say, you know, I want you to be just like me, maybe. Or maybe they don't put any expectation on you. They want you to be your own person, to discover who that truly is. Or maybe they have a very strict plan for you, and there's no getting out of that plan. But things don't always go according to plan. Things don't always go according to the way we want them to sometimes. Even our parents can fail sometimes. Because, you know, we have to think about all the times in our lives where we have failed. Your first steps, if we just think about the first steps we take, do we instantly begin to walk when we are children? Do we come out of the womb all ready to walk, ready to rock and roll? No, we don't. We come out of the womb and first we need to be protected. We need to be protected until we're old enough to get to a point where we start to be able to do things on our own. And our first act of freedom is actually crawling. Because the second you can move and the second you can go where you want to, whether it be crawling or walking, it takes practice to get there. You didn't crawl right away. It took a couple hands here to get your balance, to make sure you weren't unstable anymore. If you watch any baby in the world, it's not an instant transition. Maybe your kid is gifted and they learn how to crawl. Hell, maybe they learn how to walk right away. Let me tell you a funny story from my childhood. I did not walk when I grew up. You know how I learned how to walk? I was so tall, even as a kid, I had to walk on my knees. I couldn't walk on my feet. I was too scared of how tall I was. So I learned to walk on my knees until I was brave enough to get up off of my knees and take those first magical steps where now I'm really mobile. It's every parent's greatest joy and worst fear, because the moment you realize your kid has the ability to go wherever they want, whenever they want, and there's nothing really you can do to stop them except watch them and keep them as safe as possible. I don't care how good of a parent you are. I don't care how many things you put in a child's way. I don't care how many safety measures you put one somewhere in their life, unless they live in a plastic bubble where they can't possibly be hurt and ever, they're going to get hurt. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to fail. And I want you to remember that today's episode, because we have this big expectation put on ourselves that we have to always succeed. We don't always look at our failures as success sometimes. What do I mean by that? It is without a doubt in our lives the struggle that makes us move forward. Without there being something lighting a fire under our ass, whether it be the motivation to get the stuffed animal across the room, or it be to achieve wealth or achieve anything in this world, we have to make some kind of an effort. Now, does everything always go according to plan? No. Things don't always go according to plan. Hey, by this time in my life, I was supposed to be a rich billionaire and I wouldn't have to worry about money anymore. Well, you can all see that's not happening, right? I mean, I'm living in here, I'm doing this out of my office in my mobile home, you know, and I'm asking myself this question more than any question. I ask myself this: am I truly failing with the life I'm living right now? Now, we've all made horrible mistakes, at least one horrible mistake in our life. One mistake we wish we could take back, one decision we wish we could have acted on, or maybe not acted on, or maybe we wish we had gotten that advice that would have helped us be the better people that we could have been our whole lives, you know? But, Jesus, holy God. You know, you could have just combined. My friend brought me some tobacco. Right now, I am without money to buy tubes to smoke such tobacco, but that doesn't matter. I still got tobacco. He brought me 3. His mom doesn't smoke all the bags of tobacco that she buys. She leaves about that much tobacco in every bag because she says it gets old. And by the time I get to it, it's not that old, honestly. It's a matter of perspective. Oh, see, made a mistake. I spilled tobacco. Oh no, not that. Help, help, I made a mistake. What will I ever do? You know what? I made a mistake. Oops, spilled the tobacco. No, not that. Anything but that. What will I do? I've just spoiled my friend's gift. I've hurt somebody deeply because of some action I've done. Well, you know what? That's why things like forgiveness and repentance and stuff like that were, you know, were good things for us to do, because, you know, somewhere in our minds, we know that whether we want to be forgiven for the bad things we've done or not, whether we want to be forgiven for all the moments that we've made mistakes in. I know I'm sitting here doing all this fun stuff over here, putting tobacco in a bag while I'm talking to you. It's a mistake. Maybe I should be concentrating on you. Well, you know what? I think that life, like this tobacco, sometimes things spill out. Whether you want them to or not, they spill out. And while you want them to be extraordinary or be momentarily, until we've invented a way for us not to have to worry about things like the menial tasks that we have to do every day. And I am not a fan of enslaving anybody, including robots, to do our jobs for us. I just think we have to come up with better ideas. Hey, they can be helpful. They can make our lives easier. They can do things. But the moment we let them or any machines take over completely, and this is where I have a problem with machines. There are people out there that a machine can't do. I'm sorry, customer service should never be handled by someone who's on a phone and they give you we all hate this, right? We all hate when we're put on hold and you have to press the options to the next option, to the next option, to the next option. All you really wanted in the first place was to talk to a real person, because you can't stand the robot on the other end of the phone, because that's the only option they give you until you've pressed the button so many times. They go, we can connect you to a representative. Well, that's what I wanted in the first place, you know? And these things that happen in our lives are just like those buttons we have to press. You know, if you enter the wrong number, you have to go back and re-enter the number so that you enter the right number. And when it tells you to enter the wrong number, you have to go back and you enter the number again. Then you have to enter a special code. Then when you've finally gotten past just the entrance part of it, when they verify who you are, then you've got to go to the press 1 for billing, press 2 for technical support, press 3 for whatever. Until you finally get to an option where they say, if you would like further help, press 0 now, or whatever, right? If these things that we do in our lives are just like those steps that we have to take. Sometimes we have to get through some of the messy, crappy stuff we don't really want to have to get through in life, and there are these steps that we want to have to take in order to get to the dream that we've decided for ourselves is going to be it. Maybe when you were younger, you decided to be a fireman. Maybe you never became the fireman. Maybe you became the person who found out why the fire started. You became the investigator. You became the dispatcher who gets those fires to the right address. Maybe you didn't quite get your dream, but you became a part of something that was even more meaningful, because without the people who help you do your job, you can't do the job that you really want to do, right? And maybe you work your butt off as that rookie, or you work at that for a long time, and you never see your dream truly come true. And you get to a point where now you can't do the dream that you want anymore. Maybe you're too old and you can't be a firefighter anymore, like me, where you have back issues and you wish you could be on disability, but you're not disabled enough for them, but you're not old enough for them either. You're stuck in this gray zone, And when I say mistakes, or when I say things that go wrong in your life, or things that don't quite work out, failure is an option, because without failure, you don't know what didn't work, right? You ever tried frying an egg for the first time and you never get the yolk exactly how you like it, or it doesn't turn out exactly how you want it to turn out? Yeah, they have all these fancy machines to press and put it in a great shape for you, and great. But some of us like our eggs a certain way, and you can't do that in a machine. You have to cook it on a stove. You have to lower the temperature. You have to add the butter and the milk at the same time. Or maybe you have a funny way of doing your eggs that no one else can do. Maybe you have certain seasonings and spices and things that jazz it up for your specific taste and nuances. Maybe you're in the kitchen, you're experimenting for the first time, and you never made scrambled eggs, or you've never made regular eggs before, and you burn the shit out of them. And you know what? If your mom or dad is any kind of mom or dad, they will look at you and say, maybe you should try that. Find out why you don't want to eat that. My mom made me eat a burnt egg that I made. And you know what that taught me? That taught me that I needed to appreciate the patience and paying attention to something in greater detail that I didn't consider before. Now, my mom, bless her heart, wasn't around sometimes late at night, and I had to cook dinner when I was old enough to cook dinner. And I didn't always know what I was doing in the kitchen. I made a lot of mistakes in the kitchen. The biggest mistake I ever made as a kid was I thought I could make the ultimate candy. I got gummy bears, chocolate, gum, Twizzlers. I got every kind of candy you could possibly get, all my favorites, right? And I tried to melt them together to create the ultimate candy. Oh, and there's chocolate too. Don't forget, there had to be chocolate. Because I thought, why can't I just make the candy I want? I want something chocolatey. I want something gummy. I want something blah, 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 blah. If I add all these things together, I can make this wonderful candy bar. I ruined her pan, people. I ruined her pan. You don't understand. I ruined one of her favorite cooking pans trying to make this concoction. And she looked at me and said, what did you make there? And I said, I tried to make a candy bar that I thought I would really, really like, but it didn't turn out. And I said, did you try it? My mom said. I said, no, it burnt and didn't turn out. Why would I ever want to try something like that? Well, you made it, didn't you? Yeah. You should at least try it before throwing it away. My mom, bless her heart, made me learn from my mistakes a little bit. She didn't make me eat a lot. She didn't say I had to eat the whole pan or anything, but she did make me eat enough of it to appreciate that. That made me understand where I went wrong on some of those things. If I had just left out the chocolate part and maybe left out all the other candies, just went gummy or just went, things that could melt and that kind of a stuff. I didn't understand the difference between chocolate melting and gummy melting and stuff like that. I didn't understand what a double boiler was, And in my haste to make the best candy ever, I made Major mistakes. I ruined a pan my mom loved. I had to eat part of the burnt candy that I had made, and I had to, I think she made me take a picture of it too. I can't remember if that ever got into my photo collection or not because I can't find the picture. But the thing I learned from that was that experimentation is okay, but you have to be okay with failing too. Learning that I had to learn more about cooking and why that experiment didn't work. After I watched about 150,000 cooking shows and went to home ec class and understood why there are certain temperatures and other things. Yes, I'm the man, and I went to home ec class and I actually enjoyed myself. I became a better cook because I learned how to do some of the very, very basics. And that's all you really need in this world are some of the very basics to get to the most miraculous tasting stuff. Now, as an adult, you ask me to make a meal for my family. Not only can I make a meal out of the stuff that's in my cupboard and make it good and tasty, I can make a 5-course meal out of practically nothing. And I mean practically nothing. But it took a lot of time and practice for me to get to the point where I could go, let's see, I only have rice, milk, and some leftover chicken. What can I possibly make with that? Oh, I can make SOS with chicken, and I can cut the chicken up really fine, and I can add it into the white sauce, and then I can pour it over the rice, and then I can have kind of a chicken SOS. Now, you might ask yourself, what the hell is SOS? Well, it's basically, I call it SOS, or that's what I always heard it for, but basically it's white sauce and rice with chip beef or some kind of chip meat in there. That's basically all it is. It's your very basic. It's one of my favorite meals as a kid. And to learn how to make that taste a little bit better every single time, learning how to do it just a little bit better every time. It was those experiments and those failures that taught me how to cook better, how to do things better in my life. Now, just like in life, just like walking and learning how to get to step 1 and step 2 and going through all the crazy phone prompts that you have to go through in life, there are certain steps we have to learn as people. We all have to go through childhood together. Now, whether your childhood is good or bad, there's a little bit of both nature and nurture, and I can't say this enough. They both have to go hand in hand. There's a little bit of nature and a little bit of nurture in everybody, but without that balance, without there being some kind of equilibrium, that you get screwed up. I don't care how good of a person you are. I don't care how great you think you are in this world. You're not going to be doing very well if you haven't taken into consideration you might be wrong. You just might be wrong. Here on the Josh Show, I often talk about equality and how we can come together and how we can do things together. But sometimes you have to rely on yourself to teach yourself something. Sometimes a parent can't teach you a lesson. Sometimes a teacher can't tell you a lesson. Sometimes it's not until you ride your bike on your own and you fly off Superman style and break your arm that you realize you really do have to put both hands on the handle. Okay? It's not until you've run away for the 7th time that you realize running away is not going to solve anything. It's going to class and failing a grade and studying harder and trying to do better than you did last week. Sometimes even doing things that you're not so proud of, like maybe you cheated, maybe you found a way to get around the system. I can't say I was a perfect student. I cheated once or twice, and then my teacher knew I was cheating, and she said, Josh, I just want you to try to do this without cheating once. I said, but it's really hard to remember this stuff. And I can't pass. And if I don't pass this class, my mom and dad will be sorely disappointed me. I put more pressure on myself than my parents ever did. That's just me now. That's me being a neurotic kid trying to please everybody, okay? And I'm not saying that's the best thing for anybody here to do. It just happens sometimes, guys. But here on the Josh Show, we talk about these things that I want you to hear things you don't normally hear. So I want you to hear just at least once. Failure is okay. Failure means that you have an opportunity to do it better tomorrow. Failure means that you have the ability to learn from that experience and grow and become better than you were, even if it's for a moment, even if it's just for a tiny moment. or right before you flew Superman style off the bed, you were having the time of your life coming down that hill, arms raised out, wind in your hair, thinking there was no worries in the world, and you hit a pebble on the rock in the road, and you go, you know, or like I said, I ran away for the 7th time and realized, why am I doing this? I'm not getting away from any of the problems. I'm just creating more problems. It took me a while to learn that lesson. So I want you to take that into consideration today. More than any one thing, I want you to consider this: that failure is okay. That it's okay for you to not succeed sometimes. Where do you get, what happens when you don't succeed? Eventually you're going to reach success, because either you're so determined that you're going to finally succeed, or you're going to give up on that dream and maybe start a new one that's better for you, a little bit more obtainable for you, or something that maybe, giving up is not a crime. Saying, you know what, I tried my hardest to become the astronaut, but I can't quite make astronaut. What if I make the crew? What if I make the people who build the spaceship? If I don't do my job right, those astronauts don't get into space. If I don't learn everything that goes on in the control room, how can they get to where they need to go? Even doctors have to go to school. You don't unless you're born a savant who can pick things up like that. And God bless all those people who are like that out in this world, and I praise it. But even they have limitations. There's something that they still have to learn. Eventually, there's eventually going to be some problem that they're not quite sure how to solve, and they have to get to that next level to learn it. They need more education. They need to learn a lesson. Maybe trial and error. Even if it's their own damn experiment, they still have to learn that sometimes things don't work out. And that's what I want you guys here on the Josh Show to remember today, is that when you're out there in the world and you're fighting the good fight and you're trying to find a way to bring us closer together or save this world, and I really do want you to save our world. This evil plan of mine that I've got planned cooking, it's a backup plan. When saving the world doesn't work, that's like, plan B. Saving you guys and saving this world is my plan A. If I need to become a super evil villain to make you all realize that that's what we had to do the whole time, well, there are plenty of evil people out there right now. Couple of things that happened recently that I'd like to just touch base on. The killings in Texas, where someone went in there and decided to kill, I believe it's 18 people, 18 children plus 2 adults possibly, went and solved problems with the gun. That's not what I'm talking about, success here. I'm talking about maybe talking to the counselor and putting those feelings on a page or on a painting, or doing something different with that energy, rather than taking it out on poor innocent people who didn't do a damn thing wrong to you. Now, maybe this kid has some issues, and like people in this world who can't control what they do and don't know how to stop what they're doing and stuff like that. But those people are far in between. I believe this man was so troubled and so hurt in his head, he thought the only way out was to take as many people with him. And I can't say I would try to do this, but that's what Jabadier is about. I mean, if he became the whole evil fuck, he would have been applauding that guy. But you see, that's what I'm trying to stop. I'm trying to stop doing the mass school shooting. And I strongly want to say this to you. Violence is not an option. Sometimes you have to fight for yourself when you're defending yourself or something like that. But going out and hurting someone because you're hurting inside is not necessarily the answer to the problem. Now, if you're sick of being here in this world and you can't see of another way to go out than a blaze of glory, well, maybe you should find a less creative way to do that. Or maybe if it's something they can't control, we have to come up with better ways to do it. That's why I'm glad we're finally talking about mental health and stuff. We need to talk more about mental health than we need to talk about gun control. Guns aren't the problems. Guns only arm a machine. They only do what we tell them to do. It's the person using those guns. It's the person who has those troubles at home, who has those things going on in their lives that we don't know anything about. Yes, it means being a little bit more involved with your lives and your children and paying a little bit more close attention to what they're doing. It doesn't mean giving them an award for everything either. Sometimes they have to fail in order to succeed. And some of the people in the generation that are living right now don't see the benefit of failure. Well, without knowing that you can fail and that there is a price to failing. I wish that that kid had failed. I wish that he had decided that wasn't the answer. And maybe, unfortunately, I hate to say this live here on the Josh Show, but maybe instead of killing 18 kids, he killed himself. Now, I'm not condoning suicide by any stretch of imagination, but if that was what it took in order to save 18 other children's lives, maybe that would have been a better answer. Now, like I said, not condoning violence. I'm not condoning you to go out there and shoot people. I am not doing that at all. Okay, I am telling you to find a better solution, a solution that helps people, that maybe you can learn from. If that's the kind of things you're thinking of, maybe you need to get some help. Maybe you need to say to someone, I'm having some really bad, dark thoughts, and I need to tell someone about this. So my advice for you today is, if you're having an issue you don't know how to solve, it's not a crime to ask for help. It's not a crime to go to someone, please help me. Now, maybe there are people out there who won't help you, and you have to help yourself. But that doesn't mean you have to go down a path of darkness or down a path that will hurt a lot of people. That just means you have to find somebody else who's more willing to help you do it the right way. And there are people out there who will. Maybe it's that nerdy kid you never talked to who has a different perspective on life, that maybe you realize, well, maybe if I hang out with these kids. I highly recommend the new Stranger Things 4, at least part 1. I really wish they had released both of those at the same time. And I'm not giving away any spoilers, but it's good. I'm in the middle of the first episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi now, but I enjoy the show. I really, really like doing the show, guys, and I want you to be a part of it. So if you guys have any questions, if you guys have anything you guys would like to put out there to me, if you guys would like an interview on my show, would like to come on here and give me a different perspective, I would rather you come here and challenge me via this Zoom chat than go out there and do something horrible like hurt people. You think that that's the answer? Well, come here and tell me why that's the answer. Maybe I can convince you otherwise. And maybe, just maybe, I will teach you how to save the world instead of ending it. So I want to thank you guys for being here today. I'm not giving you no stupid spirit time today. I just feel like today is my day to go have a episode, and I will see you guys next week. So we'll see you in June, all right? Bye!